Oh man, just chilling. I was just telling Jimmy I have a whole Warren Zevon collection of shit to play tonight.
Oh my goodness! Finally,
kind of deep dove on him the other night.
You're a convert.
I mean, he's talented. There's some really weird songs that he does, but they're cool. You know what I mean? Like he just, you can tell he went through his phases.
You know, he had such an eclectic group of unique friends. All the guys around him were like really unique, like Hunter Thompson and Johnny Depp. Johnny Depp was good friends with Warren Zevon.
Didn't Warren Zevon die a while back?
2003.
Yeah, shit.
He found out he had terminal cancer, and they gave him like a couple months to live.
Mesothelioma, right?
Huh?
Yeah, that mesothelioma.
Yeah, he got it from asbestos.
Oh shit.
His father owned a carpet store, and his father put a piano for him in the attic, and he used to play. And that's the only thing that he ever, like, the only thing that he could ever trace it back to was that he played a piano all the time in an attic that had asbestos.
Yeah, and that'll do it. Fuck your lungs up. Those little fiberglass things and everything else. It's a bitch. Yeah, I remember my old best friend used to sing Werewolves of London all the time. It was one of his favorite songs. He died of brain cancer, so maybe Warren Zevon's music gives people cancer too. Got to be careful with
that. You want to know something really cool?
What?
Just a little bit off topic, but I hear all the time about Kid Rock this, Kid Rock that, right? Well, when Kid Rock did the song All Summer Long, before he recorded it, he went to Warren Zevon's family and asked them, because it was the same music. And they of course agreed. So he has songwriting credits. These credits went to Warren Zevon's children, the money.
That's the right way.
He's a class guy. Much people may not think, he did it right the right thing to do. I mean, it was true class.
I think Kid Rock is a professional through and through. I mean, he's fucking awesome. Like I love everything about what that guy stands for. He's out there on his farm, just skeet shooting, and he's got a lake with the middle of the lake has a big guitar shaped green, so you can just shoot shitty balls onto the green and practice your redneck golf and fishing.
He lives his image.
For real, he lives as a bowling alley, white trash shit everywhere. Basically, we when we were younger, we used to do white trash Olympics, and we do it in Arlington, right by Whitlow's and all that stuff. And it was basically darts, pool, horseshoes, and bowling. And at the end of it,
what about the fucking beanbag thing?
I mean, that's
cornhole. That's ain't no more white trash than cornhole.
Yeah, it's not really. I mean, it is an activity, but you got to narrow it down, because keep in mind, even with 4 events, if you're doing best of 3, we used to have to start with bowling, because by the time you leave the bowling alley, even at 3 games in, maybe you played a practice game just to get, and then you play best of 3 and you keep your point system. People are pretty shit faced by the time they get to stage carpool for stage 2. By the time you finish pool, people are tapping out, for the next round. So trying to coordinate people. You're talking about a group of 12 people that at the end of it, there's like 3 people left, because everybody's shit-faced, or they have to go home to their wives and kids. It was fun, though. It was a good fucking time. But speaking of...
Are you wearing a Hugh Hefner outfit?
Kind of, yeah. Yeah, this is my...
I see.
Fresh
I
off.
can dig that. Jimmy's got the Clint Eastwood in the back.
Beans had a little surgery today. Can you tell us about it, Beans?
Yeah, so I had surgery Monday to extract a tooth, and it's a tooth that I half extracted myself years ago.
Which tooth?
So tooth 8, I think. I don't know.
So it's a molar.
Eric, don't fuck around, okay? We got an oral hygienist in here, okay?
Oh Jesus, yeah. I don't.
What they give you? What they give you for pain? Just some some lidocaine.
They just jabbed me with all sorts of needles. I didn't ask.
The key is to keep telling them, yes, I feel something, and they keep giving you more.
Yeah, I actually used to doing my dental work with no Novocaine when I was a kid. I used to refuse it and just let them drill on me.
I did that.
It It's not a good idea. It's very manly, but it's stupid. So I was
Stupid as shit.
Stupid.
I was into that whole I'll take the pain. Yeah, don't do that. So in this case, this is a tooth that broke in half eating beef jerky a long time ago. And I extracted half of it with a fucking literally needle nose. The other half kind of stayed in there and this is 11, 12 years ago. So I've been living in pain for 12 years.
Because it's abscess, right?
At this point, probably, yeah. At this point, probably. I mean, I've tried to take care of it, but what can you do, right?
That's good though. You just took care of it, right? They just did it, right?
Well, you'll appreciate this. So they did it Monday, and then Monday night / Tuesday, I started to realize I was breathing through my nose, through my mouth. So if I were drinking something, it was coming out of my nose, and if I were having something in my nose, it was coming out of my mouth. And like I could literally breathe through my mouth, through my nose, like with my mouth closed. I said, oh shit, this isn't right. So they had punctured my wall into my sinuses, taking out the tooth.
Oh shit.
And that can be a problem because you've got all sorts of viruses and shit in your nose, for staph, all sorts of stuff. So when I called and told them, they said, yeah, it's 4:00 on a Tuesday. They said, can you get it here in the next 30 minutes? I go, I'm an hour away. They're like, can you get here tomorrow morning? So kind of had an emergency sort of suture, little bit of collagen added to it, to kind of close it up. Got me back on the road and a bunch of new antibiotics. So yeah, I'm fine. But yeah, I'm a little tired of going to the dentist.
That's good though. The antibiotics will knock it out in like 5 days. Whatever can get infected, it'll be taken care of.
Yeah, no big deal. No harm, no foul. It's just a 2-hour drive for 2 dental appointments in 3 days. That's the part that's rough.
And the price, right?
Yeah, it's not cheap, but they did it because they fucked up. Because they fucked up. You're not supposed to have a pierced sinus.
They're definitely gonna.
Yeah. So they did this one.
Your next one is free.
This
you
one.
Know how when you ever suck food up into your nose and have to blow it out?
Oh, it hurts.
No. You eat through your nose?
Terrible. It happens to me all the time. If I'm eating something and I laugh or I cough, it goes up through that membrane and I have to blow it out the other way. It's the same way as when you like suck snot out of your nose into your mouth for a loogie to spit.
Yeah. Yeah.
They goes both ways, I guess.
Well, we
got a hot dog stuck up there one time.
we lost our one female listener from this story.
I don't know why it happens to them too.
Well, you brought up Kid. Well, we're listening to Kid Rock, but we need to say congratulations to both Thor Thoren, and Kid Austin. Both won in dominating fashion. So the show.
That kid is really, really good, by the way. Kid Austin.
Yeah,
I see him posting. That's not his real name. It's something else.
Floyd Schofield is his real name.
Yes, I see him posting his own stuff in groups, and but he is very talented. He's very, very sharp.
Yeah, he's got power in both hands. He's a switch fighter. And the knockout, I actually thought he had just grazed the nose and broken the nose. He did break the nose, but he also broke the orbital bone, and it looked like a glancing shot. So there's a lot of power. I actually queued up that round if you guys want to watch it. I mean,
please.
Let me
put it on.
And pop this bad boy on. Oh, there's Jimmy Lang's Dream Girl. up there with
Oh,
all of
look at her.
yeah, baby.
Mm-mm.
Tina Turner. How could you not want to see old Tina? All right, so this is the final round.
And Lopez walking up the floor. Good stoppage by both combatants. Yeah, because it definitely looked a little low. The referee called for it, and they obliged.
He's switching back and forth.
Yeah, he does. He's probably switches like 15 times around.
In the multicolor trunks, black, red, and green. Nice left hand there, and that will send his opponent to a knee. Here we go.
Yeah, so that was the shot that
I couldn't even see it.
Broke his nose.
broke his orbital bone.
Oh,
Oh, you can tell this guy's hurt too. You know when the guy has got a broken bone like that.
Lloyd Schofield with another one.
just watch.
It was no big deal. Another KO.
Oh yeah, right. He kind of ducked into it.
Lloyd.
That's what happens.
A little lean back left hook that he has is that's not the first stoppage where he's had a lean back left hook and it's just been game over.
He kind of looks like Devin Haney a little bit, just a little bit.
Haney is
Calm down, Doug. We don't want to make Beans mad.
Let's talk about Haney for a second. I think Haney is almost a perfect defensive boxer, but by perfect I mean he doesn't get hit. He's got a beautiful jab. He doesn't take chances. Basically he'll win a round with 4 jabs and win that round by not getting hit. I mean, it's a beautiful boxing rendition. It really is. But is it boring?
He could have put him away, I think, if he really wanted to. I think he could have, but it would have been riskier.
But that's the thing. He doesn't have that. I mean, he doesn't take chances at all. For a young fighter to be that disciplined, you have to take your hat off to both ability and discipline in that scenario. But there's a part of you as a man watching him that just goes, God, he's beautiful, but what a fucking pussy. Like what?
Well, see, I don't see it that way.
Well, not that way. But if you can put somebody away and you really can, you put them away. You know what I mean? Especially in a boxing era where you're sending it to the judges. If you can knock somebody out, you knock that motherfucker out. That's what boxing's about. He's playing a version of the sport that you can't argue with. It's gorgeous. He's up there with Shakur and Loma as the finest boxers, and Ennis is the finest boxer.
He's one of the best boxers in the world.
Ennis is a fantastic boxer, but he's a killer. You know what I mean?
Yeah, Ennis is different, a little bit different.
Both of them.
Ennis.
You're also looking at a different level of competition.
I mean,
if you remember going into this fight, Eric, you were touting Kamobosos pretty highly.
Yeah, I thought with a home field advantage, he would have an edge, and
a lot of people were.
Yeah, he'd be able to squeak out either. I said he'd get a decision, whether it's the right decision or wrong. I said
I'm surprised. I almost feel like you're trolling here, or playing devil's advocate, because nobody appreciates beauty and art like you do. I just don't see how you can even give a negative to that performance.
I'm not giving a negative. I'm when I say it's boring, it's beautiful. I mean, it was beautiful. And as a fan of boxing, as a boxing fan, that was about as pretty a clinic as it gets.
And the thing was that Kamobosos could not exchange with him because he was getting drilled when he tried. That was why it was boring. He couldn't get in.
The jab was just winning that fight. I actually had a flashback to John Scully while I was watching that, and I'm going, you got to stop trying to hit him in the head. It's just not working, man. You're going over his head and hugging every time, but he
was trying to box this guy, and he couldn't. He didn't have the reach.
He didn't have the reach, which makes me believe, if he does end up moving up and taking on Tank Davis, it's going to be, an ass whipping. Tank is a big puncher, but he does have those little T-Rex arms. And Haney doesn't take chances at all.
Yeah,
I would rate Haney over Gervonta Davis. only because Haney was willing to put some risk out. I mean, he went to Australia. Plus, I mean, the guy just beat the guy. He just beat Lopez.
Haney is different class. The Gervonta Davis is a boxer. They aren't even in the same stratosphere as a boxer. But Davis,
it might be, but we just don't know. I wouldn't favor Davis over him though.
But Romero was outboxing the shit out of Davis, and every round he won every round, right up to the point where he was knocked out with one punch.
I think he was toying with him though.
You think? I mean, I think he landed 4 or 14. What was it? 14 punches in 6 rounds.
I just feel like he knew that this power was not going to hurt him, and so he toyed with him a little bit. I don't think there was any toying at all. I think he was getting worked. You don't toy with somebody for 6 rounds, lose all 6 rounds, and then the dude was all over him. There's no doubt about that. But I just feel like he knew that he really couldn't hurt him. He wasn't too worried about it, I don't think.
Sometimes you fall asleep. I think what you're talking about, Patrick, sometimes you fall asleep because a guy's not hurting you. And the next thing you look up and 3 rounds are in the bank. And then you look up again and 8 rounds are in the bank. Because you're just, nothing's really happening. He was just kind of cruising. You, but he's grinding rounds out.
Romero was not grinding rounds out. He was throwing heat. I mean, he
was. No question about it.
He was very physical in that fight, and his punches were very powerful.
That's grinding rounds out.
If
you're not knocking a guy out, I mean, just because you're swinging for the fences doesn't mean you're not putting points on the board and grinding them out. If he was bringing the fight, he was bringing the fight to Davis. There's no doubt.
Yeah, he was tracking him down and bringing it, and then all of a sudden, after dominating pretty much the entire fight with one punch, it was over, and it was hella knockout too.
What he did is what's his face should have tried to do against Haney. The way Romero went after him and tried to rough him up and just maul him and stay on him is what Kamobosos should have did, but he didn't. He tried to box.
Which is why I think Teofimo Lopez has a chance against Haney when most people don't, because most of those people are going to try to box him. Loma and Haney that's going to be an amazing boxing.
You're gonna have to throw the kitchen sink at Haney like Duran did with Leonard.
Correct.
Yeah, you just can't try to box that guy because he's too good at boxing.
That's why I think Kid Austin
got to make him uncomfortable.
At 18 years old, Kid Austin did very well against Haney, but I think it's because he's so aggressive. You know, he does bring that energy, and he's got the athletic ability to hang and switch stances. But I don't think there's many people that will be able to match up well with him. You know, that's a hell of division, but he's one fucking hell of a boxer. Boring as shit, but one hell of a boxer. So boring is a good thing. I mean, Floyd Mayweather made a lot of money being real fucking boring later in his career.
I wouldn't say it was that boring. He was busting him up.
Yeah, later in his career, he's pretty fucking boring. Most people were pretty pissed off about that Pacquiao fight.
Not talking about Floyd. I'm talking about Haney. I thought he was really busting him up. I mean, look at his face.
Yeah,
it wasn't like he wasn't going on offense.
I mean, Haney was pretty fucking. That fight was pretty boring. I mean, it really was. But part of it was the production too, though, Patrick. You might be right, because that production was awful. The crowds weren't mic'd right. Their entrance songs weren't mic'd right. The announcers weren't mic'd right. I was like,
they dragged it out for fucking like between fights. They were dragging their toes the whole time.
I mean, there was no energy from the announcers. It sounded like they were performing in a high school gymnasium because
you know what, you're right. It sounded like their commentary was distant. It didn't sound like live commentary.
And even the snaps you typically hear it with the punches, and I very rarely listen to fights with audio. I actually did this time. You couldn't hear, when a good shot would land nearly like you can in a normal situation. It was just a poorly produced. I mean, Australia's got a lot to learn. If you have a major event like that, you've got time to put together. That was, some senior high school auditorium shit going on at that.
They had some good fights afterwards.
I mean, that leads me, that reminds me also the way he dealt with the bullshit going into the fight. There was a little bit of adversity. There was some head games that could have been going on, reacted beautifully.
It seemed like the momentum favored him late. So earlier on, everything was favoring Kambosos right up to the point where Kambosos missed weight. From the time he missed weight, he called him a rat. And then Haney got his father the visa, and his father was there. It was almost like a double emotional boost at the crucial time. And I don't think that made a difference. I mean, I don't know if you guys agree or disagree. I think there's a mandatory there, but I have zero interest to watch that fight again because I think next time around, I think it's going to be worse than this time. I think Haney's going to shut him out like completely.
Haney's going to knock him out. He's going to walk him down because he knows that this guy can't hurt him. He took his best punch and didn't even flinch.
Yeah, he very early in the fight, I think second round, George did a nice right over the top and
huge. You could hear it.
You could see it was a beautiful shot, and he said Haney's unfazed. And I said seemingly because it really didn't look like it did shit to him. Like it was like, oh,
just walk right through it.
Walked right through it, and it was the prettiest punch of the fight. Period. As far as landed, like that was the biggest power shot. The most dramatic certainly, and yeah, he just ate it up and walked right through it. There was actually a nice moment of sportsmanship after. I know, some people may or may not like this stuff, but I always like it when fighters afterwards.
I do too.
I think that's a really good part of the sport. George came over and, said, basically congratulated him, said, your jab is amazing. You're a great champion. You gave it all. And Haney said, look, you are a man of your word. You gave me the shot. You said you would. He goes, I always wanted to fight the best, and you're right now, this is your world, so it was, he goes, I'll be back, but this is your world. Enjoy it. And
classy guys. And I thought they both carried themselves great.
I did too. It was a nice
thing. They got to sell the fight before the fight. So, they're both going to say, he's going to say shit. So that don't mean nothing.
Yeah. The rat thing they asked about a little bit, like who told you to call a rat? They had a person named, but all that stuff to sell a fight. You got to get in there and say some outlandish shit.
That's right.
Jimmy, you were never really a fight seller, were you? Like, did you ever get on and talk shit about people before a fight, or not so much?
I was fairly matter of fact. Sometimes I would talk shit if they talked shit. I didn't have a lot, not too much. It wasn't my game. My whole image is the throwback. Come to fight, you're going to get 100% every time.
Yeah.
He talks with his fists, not with his mouth.
Yeah, I agree. It never really fit the image as being a gentleman like you. I think I kind of felt that was Jimmy's image was, here's this guy, he's a gentleman outside the ring, and he'll put on a fucking war in the ring,
Fight with your fist. Fight with your fist.
How do you think you'd react? I don't know if you did big press, where you're in the room with the other guy, but how, and I'm sure you've been there, but how did you react if people just started saying horrific things? Do you remember somebody saying something horrific to you? Like,
yeah, I remember. I remember there was a guy named Joe Wyatt who was a tough bastard, and he was extremely arrogant and had stuff to say, both before and after the fight, and then after the fight, almost in private, shook hands and gave me respect. But he was one that was. He got personal about the family and the fucking rednecks, like I give a shit. I didn't give a much, and then after the fight, he was going to protest because it was bullshit. It was two seconds left.
I don't.
Were you at that fight, Eric?
I was at a lot of them. I could not tell you.
Well, I was at this fight, and the fight was over. The guy was knocked. The guy was hurt very bad, and there was no way it was going to continue.
Yeah,
Joe Cooper was never going to let that fight continue.
The fight was 2 seconds left of a 10-round fight that I might have been losing.
It was dead even, and it was a real slugfest going into the last 20 seconds. Nobody knew who was winning.
Yeah, I've seen some pretty amazing stoppages with seconds left like that.
This was one of them. It was one of the really great memories that in my life I can remember.
Well, it wasn't a stoppage. It was a 10 count.
Yeah, but it was just a buildup. The way I was right there behind the corner. I mean, right there. And
Joe Cooper wanted that stoppage.
and Jimmy caught him with this humongous shot that rattled him. And he was like kind of hanging on for a second. And then another one came around and it just blasted him. And both guys were covered in blood. I mean, Jimmy was busted up. I was just like, wow, what a fucking comeback right there, because I was concerned about the scores. I mean, I had it dead even, but those judges never. They always were almost gave the benefit of the doubt to the other guy every time in a Jimmy fight.
Yeah. It was like they were paranoid about favoring me, so they fucking went against me.
Is it at Patriot?
Yeah,
I was
I always
they
felt
never took care of me there.
like, you know, you go to Minnesota, you got the guy who's the fighter there. They want to win. The scores will be a shutout. Like, even if it's not a shutout, if it's close. In Virginia, it was always like, how did they come up with that score?
They would
I mean,
give the
even when
they
Jimmy
would-
won, I'm like, man, how do they give like,
They would
how did it
give
have
the
that
benefit of the
close?
doubt to my opponent.
Yeah, it's some of these stoppages, man. I mean, I've seen some. I sent you guys one the other day where the cat slipped like 20 straight shots and the referee stopped it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it must be
Yeah,
one of
yeah,
those
yeah.
fixed fights. It's got to be a fixed fight.
I don't know.
I know that.
The ref probably just saw a lot of activity and figured something had to be landing. I mean, who knows? Maybe the crowd was a Latino crowd yelling. You know, he couldn't hear the punches. I mean, you're in there though. You should see what we see on video, right?
You can see if the punches are landing or not.
I,
And if you can't, you shouldn't be a referee.
Yeah.
look, yeah, you're right there. I mean, you have no excuse.
So
That's your job to fucking see it. If they're missing or not.
we've got
That guy was. I seen that video. That guy was just shoe shining. He was missing everything.
It was actually an amazing display of slipperiness.
he should have got a point for slipperiness there.
He should have. I mean, not one of them even landed a little bit, and it got stopped. He's like, "What the fuck?" Like none of them landed. Wonder what happened to that guy's career. You know, after you put on a display like that, something like that happens. You know, how do you?
Yeah, there's nothing worse than like early stoppages in fights that you just wanted to keep going.
Did you?
I hate when a ref just prematurely stops it of a big fight. That's just, you don't see it that often, but when it does happen, I feel like it's really disappointing.
Did you guys see the boxer in the coma? Did you?
He's dead. He died.
Shut up,
He died today. Yes.
dude. He knocked the other guy down, and
They said he didn't take a punch in the whole fight.
no, he knocked the other guy down. Was winning the fight pretty handily. That the ref got up, gave the other guy a standing 8, and he's just in the corner,
Punching after the ref.
airboxing, and then he turned his back on his opponent and started punching gently into the corner, and the other guy's confused. The ref jumped in and stopped it.
I think he must have had a brain something or other before the fight. I don't think it's something that happened.
You're seeing
like-
a lot of young athletes are having issues with health now since COVID hit. And COVID and some of the treatments for COVID both cause blood clots. So you're seeing a lot of odd stuff that you've never seen before happen to people of young age, very young age. Australia is having an epidemic of young people that are just passing away out of the blue.
I thought you were going to say passing gas. I was going to say,
I
wow,
wish.
that's a
I
serious
wish.
epidemic.
Hey now,
We can't even have that anymore. We're having an egg shortage here. No more.
you're so fucking stupid.
My farts smell like eggs. Does that count?
Well, are you eating eggs still?
I am. Yes, I did eat some eggs
Yeah.
earlier.
Wait, there's an egg shortage?
Yeah, they've been. There's the bird flu hit and wiped out millions of chickens, and then I think one of our largest egg chicken places lit up the other night. So egg prices have doubled, more than doubled, and so there's expected to get.
Oh yeah, somebody put it on. Somebody set it on fire, didn't they?
Well, it's like the 20th major food processing place that's gone up in flames or been hit by a fucking airplane. And
Struck
for,
by a bolt of lightning.
for some reason, nobody seems to care. I don't see any major investigations that I'm aware of. Although how would I? The FBI doesn't notify me.
Can I say something before I forget while we're talking boxing?
Go for it.
Did anybody watch Stephen Fulton?
I watched the highlights. It was a short fight, so I watched it. I mean, it
Stephen Fulton was brilliant.
Yeah.
Put on a clinic. He boxed that guy's head in.
Oh, Fulton. Yes, I watched the whole fight. Yeah, that was a great performance, man.
And that guy was supposed to be really tough. Never been dominated like that before.
Yeah, that was what happens with him next, Patrick. What's his next?
He's a world champion. I mean, I think he's a IBF world champion or something or other. But I mean, he is legit. He's in the same camp as, or he used to be at least, as the Ennises. They all trained together.
Yeah, Roman was a damn good fighter. And Fulton just destroyed him,
dominated him.
And then you got he's going to have to unify. I mean, I guess that's the next step is to start pulling these belts together, right?
Yeah, I mean, these guys all need. I'm trying to think of the weight. I think he's lower than.
Is he 22?
20.
I think he's either 122 or 118.
I think he's 22. He's 22.
But I hope that's not Inoue who's in that weight class because that guy.
You guys seem so big.
Huh?
Yeah, they seem so big. I thought he was 26. I just can't believe these guys are that small. You know?
I know, it's crazy.
Until you're standing in front of them. I mean, my whole career, I could never get that through my head how fucking small these guys are.
And and those guys hit really hard too because
Jesus Christ,
they're so quick that it becomes the power.
Were you there? Were you there when I worked with Bones Adams?
No, but I remember you telling me about it when we were there.
What was he like? He was like 115 or something.
No, he was something like that, like 120, I think. Somewhere.
Yeah, that's Jesus. Nobody hurt me like fucking Bones Adams. Every shot he threw hurt.
And they just ping off of you because they're too quick. Everything's coming so fast with those little guys.
It's miserable. It's like you're in a blizzard.
Exactly. You can't stop it.
Yeah.
What do you say, Beans?
I was like a bunch of 22s just banging at you at a million.
Yeah, it's and that motherfucker could punch. I mean, he had power.
He fought some good people.
Yeah.
What did you think of Tuesday morning's Donaire fight?
The guy, anyways, is like ridiculous power, man.
Yeah, Monster is no joke. Second round, man, right?
Donaire said that the first knockdown in the first round that he ran into that right hand. He said when he got up from that, or when he got hit by that, he doesn't remember anything. He said it's the hardest shot I've ever fought in my career.
I believe it. You could see the same type of thing was happening with Romero when Tank Davis hit him. He was walking out of the ring 5 minutes after that. He couldn't walk, like he was still fucked up. That's like a life-changing type concussion. You need to give it a good year before you fight again. Otherwise, your brain might shut off again real fast to protect itself.
He don't need it. He's done. He should be done.
Who?
Donaire.
Oh, he's got to retire. I mean, he's a great champion. He's a Hall of Famer, first ballot.
You think?
Absolutely, 100%. He's been fighting like over 20 years.
Yeah.
He turned pro, I think, in like 2000.
I mean, I don't even think James Toney is in the Hall of Fame yet.
He is.
Is he?
Yeah, now he is. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Last year he got inducted, I think.
I was gonna say, man, sometimes it takes a while for first.
But Donaire is a legend. He's going in first ballot, 100%.
Yeah, that again. What do you think's gonna happen with Monster? Who's he fighting next? Do you think?
Who's going to want to fight him?
2 minutes.
That's the problem. I think we pretty much have a month with a bunch of just kind of mediocre fights coming up. Like there's nothing great coming up.
We got to hope that Crawford Spence gets signed. I mean, these guys got to realize this is it. They can make some money. They can't drag this out any longer. Somebody's going to lose, before they get the meat up and it won't be valuable.
Yeah, the fight will be. These types of things when you delay it, thinking we'll delay it. We've seen it a million times before.
We got to make it happen. I mean, it's there to be made.
Hopkins and Roy Jones made that mistake. So many fighters before and after him have made that mistake. Fight in your prime. Fight near. That's what people want, and that's where the money is.
Everybody was going to pay for that if they.
You don't want to. You don't want to wait till somebody's 37 plus years old. You want to see them when they're both sitting right in their prime. And then there's no debating either. There's no, oh well, what if so and so were a couple years younger.
Hopkins and Roy fought early.
They fought real early, and then there was a big delay until they fought when they were way past their primes. So they fought like they never fought when they were at their peak.
RFK.
What are you saying?
RFK. They fought at RFK. Riddick Bowe's
yes, they did on the Bow undercard, I think, right?
Yeah. I remember being somewhat disappointed. I thought it would be a lot more competitive.
Oh, I miss RFK.
Yeah, RFK was a great place to watch. It was, you could just stomp and the bleachers would sort of shake.
They would shake. They would bounce.
They'd bounce with you. That was a great stadium. But what were you Jimmy, describe? What were you disappointed in? Try to use your words.
It was a boring fight.
I don't think I knew that much about boxing at the time. I mean, I was probably in my 20s, but I just both those guys were like on my pound for pound list, and I just thought it was just going to be an epic fight, and it really wasn't.
What happened in the fight?
Roy just stuck a move and just kind of Roy was Roy.
He just outclassed him.
Yeah.
He outclassed. Yeah. What's amazing is how far you probably come to as a fan, because if you saw Roy Jones do that same performance now, you'd probably be mesmerized.
Well, it just shows you how good Roy Jones was.
100%. That's a very valid point. That's what I said. I didn't know quite as much. I didn't appreciate as much. So it wasn't action packed.
That's kind of why
I wasn't a student.
That's what, when you were talking about earlier, am I trolling with the Haney commentary? It's because I still understand what it means to watch, fights.
Right. And you're coming from a fan's perspective.
I'm trying to take a fan's perspective.
Not an artist,
Not a boxing, like a boxing, aficionado going, wow, what a performance. But as a fan,
right.
What is that fight? What I've said, if somebody goes, did I miss anything as a regular fan? I went to sleep early. What did I miss? I'd say you didn't miss much. You missed
100%.
You missed one guy who's much better than the other guy.
And the fight went the way it was supposed to.
Yeah, I thought that's might be the way it went on neutral territory in like New York or something. I thought, Australia would be some kind of edge, and I shudder to think what would happen on neutral territory if that was the edge, because that was not the edge that.
I don't think he allowed it to be an edge. I think he did a masterful job mentally.
Yep. So anything else fight wise you guys want to talk about?
I'm gonna get up in a second, fellas. I gotta make some fucking dinner. Sorry.
You out of here?
In a minute, yeah. I gotta make some dinner. I mean, I'm starving.
I'm gonna give a news flash.
Let's take a quick break for the bathroom. Let Patrick go make his dinner. Patrick, thanks for joining.
Hey, listen, I want a full report on the Warren Zevon songs that you've got queued up.
They've been playing. Yeah, they've been playing. They're